Hello everybody and welcome back. It smells like Noodlers in here. I'm trying out the Lexington Gray, doing a quick swatch here before I get started. I was able to pick it up thanks to my patrons on Patreon. If any of you are interested in helping support the channel, there'll be a link at the end or in the description as well. I was super surprised that the Lexington Gray and the Noodler's Black are about the same value. I expected the Noodler's Black to be a lot darker, so. And I forgot to do a swatch of the Fude pen there. Also, the Noodler's Heart of Darkness is very dark. Very rich. Here I'm sketching out a scene. My whole idea for the video today was to paint on some gray and then do some black line work over it. Just try that out, see how it turns out. So we'll get there eventually. I'm just starting by sketching out a bing bong and slap it on the wing wong. What the hell am I talking about? I'm sketching out the idea was it's a giant pyramid-shaped machine that terraforms solar systems. So, you know, that old chestnut. I was having a lot of fun drawing these kind of Art Nouveau type lines and planets and stuff like that in the previous video, so I decided to, do another one. Why not? And yeah, I'm just, sketching in some big shapes here. I'm painting in the Lexington Gray. I really like this gray, actually, even though it's not what I was expecting. It flows really well through my pen, and it's got this nice, it almost reminds me of Copic markers. It's got that kind of Copic, like, gray tone to it. And I like gray inks that don't look like pencil. I know a lot of people like it to look like pencil. I don't like it. If I want it to look like pencil, I'll just use a pencil. So I like gray inks that look like ink. And yeah, so I really like this. It's just way darker than I was expecting. This is darker than the Noodler's Black that I have. I don't know if maybe the batch of Noodlers that I got was defective, or I don't know, maybe somebody, took some out and put some water in it or something. I have no idea what's going on with that. But it might just normally be like that. But my only experience is with the two bottles here. So here I have it in the extra fine nibbed fountain pen. And like I said, I really like it. It flows really well. It like shoots out of that. It was super wet. And it's a really nice looking ink. It was just way darker than I was expecting. So I think in the future, I'll switch back to the Noodler's Black and the extra fine. And I'm going to put the Lexington Gray in a separate fine nibbed fountain pen. Here I'm coming through with the Pentel Fude brush pen. And this has a nice, when I swatched it, it's nice and dark. It's right on par with the platinum carbon, so I figured it would be a good one to continue using. And I might actually refill this with platinum carbon when it runs out. It keeps on going. I thought it was going to be out like 5 drawings ago, and it still has ink, plenty too. So we'll see how long it lasts. Maybe it's got a vortex inside of it and just keeps, I don't know what never mind. It's the infinite ink pen. Now, as soon as I say that, it'll run out. Next drawing. Here's the medium nib with platinum carbon in it. And I'm just coming through and doing some hatching and doing some of the sort of that Art Nouveau type lines, like refining it. and just getting all those little details in there. And the idea from yesterday's drawing was that, because I was doing white over black, I thought maybe black over gray would look good. So we'll get to that in a little bit, but over this gray here. But in the meantime, I'm just going through and doing all these like kind of swoopy lines. And so I was imagining this was a giant machine, like the big curve on the bottom is a gas giant, and this is like this giant like pyramid shaped machine sticking up off of it. And I had the atmosphere like kind of trailing up, almost like the pyramid had its own gravity was the idea. And then these planets are supposed to be like kind of shooting up out of the surface, like it's creating planets out of the materials from this gas giant to make its own solar system was the idea. I don't know. I thought I like coming up with little weird ideas for drawing, so I thought this would be a bizarre kind of concept. And yeah, so that's what I was imagining. Oh, this is, all very artistic-y, pseudo representational type stuff though. So I'm coming through with a lot of those swoopy kind of Art Nouveau lines. I was a little bit confused the difference between Art Nouveau and Art Deco in the previous video, but this is what I'm emulating is Art Nouveau. It's that kind of curly Alphonse Mucha. I had a couple people let me know in the comments, thank you, and yeah. So that's the idea. Sci-fi nouveau, I guess. I'm sure it's been done. I think I saw a Star Wars, like somebody had made their own version of a Star Wars movie poster in that Art Nouveau style that was really cool. And some other ones like the Mummy and I forget the other ones, but yeah, they were really cool, like sci-fi and horror Art Nouveau posters that I thought were super neat. Yeah, I'm just working my way across here, lining in the border, and just, when I draw those lines, I'll give them kind of like little blobs on the edge as I go. And then this was kind of a radial sort of lines coming off of there. And then this is like another gas giant in the background here. And then here I'm coming through doing some hatching throughout the sort of trails of gas coming up to the little planetoids. And just like the video I did yesterday, I'm trying to keep it so there's a fair amount of negative space throughout these areas. So I'm not going overboard with the hatching. You'll see I come through with the Noodler's Lexington Gray, the new ink, again here in a little bit, and I'll do some more hatching through there. It was a little bit darker, like I said, than I was expecting, so it didn't work quite the same way that the Noodler's black would. And I think it's what it actually is kind of an ink flow thing. I think because it flows through so well through the pen, it comes out in like larger amounts, and more ink means it's darker. And I think with the Noodler's black, it's a drier ink. It doesn't flow through the pen quite as readily, I guess, and it makes it more of a drier, thinner line, so you get more of that transparency. And it might just be a matter of like tweaking the nib and the feed. I noticed when I did an adjustment to make it so the nib didn't creep out over time, it actually made it flow a lot more. And all I did to do that was just kind of flattened the sort of tail section on the nib out a little bit, just to make it press against the inside of the grip section a little tighter. And that ended up giving it quite a bit more flow, oddly enough. I'm not sure. I feel like those little tiny adjustments in there can change quite a bit when you're messing around with fountain pens. So yeah, here I am with the extra fine again, the Lexington gray. I'm doing the hatching through this. This is like the surface of the gas giant. And you could see it doesn't have a lot of contrast with the platinum carbon that's already down there. I think the ink flow as well made the line a little bit bolder than it otherwise has been with different inks. So I think that, yeah, I think I'm going to put Noodler's black back into this pen. But I really do like this ink, and I'm going to use it in a fine nib. I think I'm going to put it in the TWSBI fine, and then when I'm getting a new pen for Christmas, assuming I don't hate it or whatever, I'm going to put the platinum carbon in that one. So I think that'd be a good combo, and then I'll have that nice gray and a little bit thicker line so you can tell it's gray. Something about this thin line just makes it so that so everything kind of looks black. I don't know. I don't know if it's a little more obvious in person than in the video. Yeah, it's just barely noticeable. So yeah, I might as well have done the whole thing with the platinum carbon, I think. But that's okay. It turned out nice. I'm going through hatching all these little poofy areas and doing all sorts of texture in here. This is, one of those things. It's a process. It's time consuming, but I think it looks nice once it's done. I wanted the whole surface kind of like bubbling and boiling, like this giant pyramid thing was, creating like this huge disturbance. So I added lots of kind of cloudy, poofy shapes in there. And just tons of line work. Might have gone overboard a little bit. Yeah, here I'm coming through and adding some more of those kind of Art Nouveau type of lines through the other planet in the background, and some hatching, and just to see how the lines looked. When they're not hatching, when they're actually like lines that I'm pulling. And it's a really nice ink. It's just, yeah, it's very dark. Darker than I was expecting. Yeah, here I'm coming through hatching the planets and leaving little, bands of like negative space through. I'm trying to follow the contour. That kind of medium-sized one, I didn't really follow the contour very much, but these other two I did pretty well. And, it's not super important. And then, yeah, I'm doing this hatching through just certain parts. I don't want to overwhelm it with too much hatching. So just picking out little parts and then letting the negative space kind of live on its own. Okay, yeah, and then here's the part, this is the big experiment here. I'm coming through with the platinum carbon over the gray. And once it dried out, the ink behaved really well drawing over it. So that was good. It's, like I said, it's a little darker than I was expecting, so it doesn't show up. It shows up enough, though. Like, you get that texture when you're looking at it, and I think that was the goal, So, yeah, and then here I'm just adding some little greebly gibbets to the outside edges there to give it a little more texture, and then some kind of linear lines here going, toward the point. And I did a little hatching on the point there to kind of make it look like it was like fading out or something. And then this is the extra fine again. I decided to add a little bit of, just a little accent up there. And this was a very smudgy drawing, so I was trying to get some of the smudges off the outside edge there. But yeah, thanks for watching. Go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe if you feel so inclined. Hit the bell thing. And special thank you to my patrons on Patreon. You guys make it possible so I can buy a little extra art supplies every month. So if you guys are interested in that, there's a link right here. And thanks for watching. I will see you all in the next video. All right, bye.